a few screams. That's all we need, isn't it? Tuesday, 8th of July, 2025. It's a daily occurrence, but RTD's not in the building. No Russell T Davies talk tonight. No, 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 no. I'm banning it. So school's not out yet, as you know, in the UK. And so you have been detained at Brendan's pleasure, former teacher, of course, for more intense Doctor Who study. A Doctor Who deep dive. My detentions always made you feel better for doing them, you know. Oh, yeah, even if I said so myself. No messing on, or I will double the punishment, okay? So John Yulden has been detained tonight. He's come from his classroom down the corridor called Sci-Fi Chronicles 79. Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you, mate. Chat, he won't let me go. I've been incarcerated in this school for weeks. Please help.
And just imagine it's a detention where we're going to be talking about John Pertwee and Tom Baker. There you go. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. How will I cope?
Yeah. Can you imagine a detention doing that?
Oh, yeah. That's the school I want to go to.
Yeah. So everybody enjoy this detention. These are the, after school detention with Doctor Who, where, hey, talk about treats. So, might as well get going. Everybody's knuckled in. The Wimbledon's over regarding British entries, so we might as well keep going. So, this is yours, really. You've got this, haven't you? You might as well tell everybody.
Yeah, I got this through a couple of days ago. Looking forward to putting it on. There you go, everybody. So yeah, this is going to be good to listen to when I'm out of my lunch hour and walking around. So it's got Doctor Who Curse of Peladon, which is read by the novelization, and it's read by John Pertwee. Then you got the Planet of Giants. Planet of Daleks, not Planet of Giants. Yeah. What's going on? That's going back to my review days.
The Who pets are in it.
Yeah. So Planet of the Daleks, again read by John Pertwee, and then you've got the bonus audio in it. So you've got archive items featuring John Pertwee, Elizabeth Sladen, Peter Bryant, Barry Letts, and Ingeborg and Daryl Pertwee. And then they've got the wonderful John Pertwee music single from 1972. So if that's not worth getting it, I don't know what is, everybody.
So what was the eventual pull? Because it was that 64 quid.
No, this one wasn't. This was, off the top of my head, I think it was about 25-30 quid.
Okay.
And I got the last one, which was the Genesis of the Daleks one that they did. I liked having that in the set, and I saw this was on the way, so I was like, no, I've got to get it. This is good Doctor Who merchandise that I want to buy, not Jinx Monsoon pin badges and stuff like that. This is the good stuff.
It's all band talk, that, isn't it, tonight? So yes, Cybermat Strikes may not like the Peladon one. I know that from our detoxers, but what have you listened to so far then? Anything?
Nothing yet on this one. It starts tomorrow lunchtime as I'm out for a stroll with my iPod on. So really looking forward to it.
So I was going to say to everybody, just before we get going on the album and the stories, and then looking at season 13 especially, I just wanted to say, because this is our detention club, so before the teacher starts the detention, we can gossip, that little bit just before it all starts. So gossip-wise, John and Thread, good to see you, Thread. Tell us your truth in a minute. Me and Jamie started watching Nightmare on Eden last night. So we've done part 1. So we're in that kind of zone with Tom Baker, later years, and Lalla Ward. All kind of glittery suits, bit of drug pushing. And, we've got the good old dodgy effects. Doctor Who being more ambitious than it can cope with, but we don't care. Tourists in the future wearing dodgy outfits.
Yeah, they're all in this like early day shell suits, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a look, I tell you what. So we would. So after this stream tonight, it'll be Nightmare on Eden Part 2. And do you know what, John? This is the season 17, when I started doing the audio recordings. And I remember the end of part 1 because, of course, it's the Dudley Simpson music.
Yeah.
Because It's more visual.
Yeah.
Because that little white dot that kind of seems to buzz around and then knock Romana. All you hear is the music, and you're going, "Oh, it's quite dramatic."
Yeah.
Play that again and again and again.
Wonderful.
But of
Wonderful.
course, one thing I was looking at, and I don't know what the thread think, but Nightmare on Eden, I can put up with loads of things. I know we're going to see the mandrels later and everything, but it's the lighting. The lighting's just too flat. That's the
Yes.
one thing that I wish they would change. Yeah.
It is a great story. Like you say, it's let down by that a bit, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
which is a shame.
So what are you watching then?
Well, I have just finished Dare the Daleks again. I just adore that story. I must watch that several times a year. It's such a good story. Stephen Braddock, yeah, good shout on Claws of Axos. That's on my list actually. Another classic Pertwee story. But I mean, Dare the Daleks is just wonderful. You know, I will say, you know, that beginning bit with the gorilla from the future where he hears the sound and he's running with a close up on the face with worry.
Yeah.
That's how I looked when I'd see Shooty Gatwa coming on the telly.
He's banned, he's banned. I'm being a good lad tonight. I'm setting the tone. I've banned Russell T Davies. I'm banning Shooty. And look at him. Look at him. Toxic alert.
Do you know what? I'm the kid at sat at the back in detention, just firing little inky bits of paper at you from the pen. That's what I am tonight.
I'm going to have to, he's on a warning now. You might have to double the detention. Sadako 24, Nightmare of Eden is a bit of a rocky mess, sadly. But of course, you know what we're like. We still watch them all. I'll judge it, of course. Stephen O'Neill, I watched Destiny of the Daleks on Saturday. Yeah, of course, that was my first ever audio recording.
Yeah.
Stephen Braddock, I put him up earlier, The Claws of Axis. Happy heavenly birthday for John Pertwee. And so let's get back to it, because of course people were liking the look of that album, and of course it's Curse of Peladon. And Curse of Peladon, my introduction, I don't want everybody watching at home, it was the Doctor Who and the Monsters season, and actually maybe it was July or August, and we were in Spain, so my aunt and uncle and my gran had to video it, and they were given very strict instructions how to video the Doctor Who and the Monsters season. So there you go. So Curse of Peladon, good old Heppish, a little bit of hocus pocus god stuff, bit of Agador, bit of Agadoo, bit of everything. I mean, is it a good one for you, or is it just one of those now and again?
I really enjoy this story. Again, I will watch this and then I'll watch Monster of Peladon, just within a couple of nights. It's another story for me where I don't get bored of it. I literally hammer through the episodes, and it's just Pertwee for me. I just have such a joy for watching Pertwee do what he does, and it's a wonderful set. You've got an image up there and it's wonderfully done, isn't it?
Well, you said Pertwee. There's that. To me, there's those moments when he takes over. He's not. He's not the Earth ambassador. He has a cheek. I mean, who the hell does he think he is? He just takes over a party when he wants to. So of course, when they're all scrobbling like a Ghana school kid, and he gets all proprietorial and whoa, how dare you? And of course, he was taking a bloody risk. Can you imagine him getting all high and mighty and the Ice Warriors were still nasty? Yeah. Whoa, it could have all kicked off in that courtroom.
And again, that's a wonderful thing. When I watched this for the first time, and of course, I'd heard and I'd watched the VHS stories with the Ice Warriors and then as a kid, but it was just that, it's the Ice Warriors. As a kid, I saw it, and then it was like they were good. And I was like, I always remember as a kid being a bit conflicted about that because I still wanted the Ice Warriors to be bad, but it was also nice to also see, right, well, this is a monster that's actually turned and formed an alliance, at some point, which was a first.
But John, be honest with you, the first time you saw Curse of Peladon, were you wanting to see the complexity of monsters, or were you going, be bad, Just be bad for God's
Yeah,
sake.
exactly.
I
And the
don't,
fairy liquid there was a nice little touch as well, wasn't it?
yeah, Arcturus is the most bad out of them.
And
And of
again,
course,
but for 70s though, mate, I still think it's a good practical design.
yeah, well, I like the head and I like the voice. It's a bit, if you can't get the Daleks, it's a bit Dalekish. But
Yeah,
he has a rubbish life support machine. It's this big, massive box that wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, they talk about ramps in TARDISes now, and they talk about ramps everywhere. This Arcturus was bloody useless. You need a door. How wide?
well, we both know, mate. If RTD brought him back now, he'd have a 6-pack pecs and legs and arms, the works, wouldn't he? Working out in the gym 5 times a week.
Yeah,
Because you
he'd
can't
have to
have
be.
that.
Yeah. He's an insult to little squid or whatever he's supposed to be. But yeah.
Just look what he did to that flower pot. Disgraceful behaviour.
It's the fact that he had the I mean, can I say his name? I'll say Gary.
Yeah.
He's got the glittery collar. Look at him.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
you can't take the 70s away, can you? I mean, the glam.
You want to
rock-
be in my gang?
Yeah, yeah. I'm in a gang of one. So yeah, look at him, little Shirley Williams in there. So he's. And then, of course, I mean, we all would love to be chatted up by Arctur and Alpha Centauri because, of course, hands everywhere. I tell you,
Yeah.
like sheds, wouldn't there?
I know. And you know what? Watching Capaldi's era back again, the final sort of season of Capaldi's run, I like Empress of Mars, but I do love the bit that at least they decided Gatiss and Moffat, they decided to have that little cameo from Alpha Centauri at the end. I did like that, that's where I felt with them at that point. At least they were respecting the past in classic Who by effectively trying to drop that in, and it was nice.
What I will say is, yeah, I know what you mean, but when they did the Peladon stories, there was the new stuff and then a new slant on Ice Warriors, and it wasn't old stuff, was it? I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just keep moving forward. Anyway, we've got loads of memories of this one. As a kid watching the Curse of Peladon, I loved all the variety of monsters. You see, that moment when they saw when they saw the Ice Warrior going down the corridor, breathing heavily, and of course they're behind the curtains. Classic Doctor Who. Hide behind the curtain. That is a what was it? A Rory of the planet Mars or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and but also when I talk about the sets as well, don't you find like even now when I look at the sets and you've got the corridors so well designed that you really do think they go on forever. It's well done.
Yeah, and of course it Peladon's trying to do almost like a medieval vibe, isn't it? That's the whole point. That's why it needs the EU. Sorry, Galactic Federation. Do you know what? I don't know what everyone else thinks in the thread, but when you read the book and when we watch the Peladon story, I've always thought, why the hell didn't Doctor Who ever go and show us Galaxy 5? I wanted to see Galaxy 5.
Yeah.
They sound like right baddies.
Yeah, exactly. They sound brutal. And again, if it was another iteration of where Doctor Who had come back or was coming back, I would really like a good writer to do that. But these days I shudder to think what we would get.
Yeah, honestly, you can tell how much he's afflicted. He is bringing this new series up as much as he can.
Yeah, I'm trying to break you tonight because that way I escape detention.
Yeah, Paul Richards. I love the scene with the TARDIS falling off the cliff. I loved all that beginning. I didn't realize that happened. That when I first saw it, even I think when I read the Target book first, I didn't realize all that. I'd forgotten it, and I loved all that set when there's the wind machine and they're trying to climb up the Peladon mountain.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one great atmospheric story. The King's Champion, bit of romance going on, and then you've got the Earth's ambassador arriving in the last scene, and then Doctor Who, and all that stuff.
And brilliant, and of course at the beginning you have I was all doled up for a night on the town with Mike Yates, So were they establishing that there was a little bit of a romance going to develop there,
Oh,
or
don't tell
yeah,
don't tell the LGBT mob, because they have Captain Yates playing both ways sometimes. You know what it's
yeah,
like.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, the
yeah.
revised. But what we're gonna say is Arcturus is ours. He's very alpha male, I think. Very straight alpha male Arcturus. Very.
Yeah.
Um, right. Well, the other one, more up my street. Anyone who watches these streams, Planet of the Daleks just takes me to a very good place. And there's the blue disc. So the Planet of the Daleks. I mean, are you looking? Which one are you going to watch first? Listen to which one second?
I'll follow it in order, but I will be honest. I am really looking forward to listening to Planet of the Daleks again. It's there's I don't know about you guys, but there's something for me about sunny weather, summer holidays, Doctor Who, and listening or watching a Doctor Who for me. Yes, you've got the autumn of when Doctor Who was on as well, and you've got the stormy weather, which works brilliantly for Doctor Who. It's raining heavy, and I have that scenario when the Daemons is on. But there's something great about being out in the nice weather, listening to a Doctor Who audio, and just drifting away for a bit of time. And the wonderful Pertwee as well, narrating it, reading it. I'm in for a treat, this week.
You see, Planet of the Daleks for me, yeah, the story, but I read it. I read the Target book a lot.
Yeah.
This just had everything I wanted. Now, Graham's just finishing off, reminding us of the Weetabix Alpha Centauri, Agador, Ice Rory, and Ice Lord. Yeah, yeah. I remember being in, I think I was 6, and I was collecting them on. You're allowed to take them to school. In those days, you're allowed to just do bottle.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember that. Kez the Drone talking about the Ice Warrior Commander was doing camp before it was fashionable. Perhaps the Doctor will. I loved all that. I'll double that. Sonny Coldez. What's his name?
Yeah.
Farsight. The Target book was magical. I read it long before I saw the actual story. I loved the illustrations too. Well, this was the period that I think so many people have missed out, haven't they? Because I really did know a lot of my Doctor Who from the book first. So it's fascinating when you actually see it. JWC Reviews, it's my favourite Pertwee story, Planet of the Daleks. It's everything in it. Yep, I cannot argue with that. Stephen O'Neill, Planet of the Daleks, sheer class. And you get 6 episodes. Episodes.
Oh, it's wonderful. And but just that cliffhanger with the invisible Dalek, though, what about that? Superb stuff.
Yeah, you've got heavy. Hey, I tell you what, if you described it to somebody who didn't know Doctor Who, they might go, you're watching something dodgy, because you're going, there's heavy breathing, fur coats, you're in some dodgy wood. I mean, I don't know, is it hamster?
And something seedy's gone on, and Joe's got a fungus growing on her.
Yeah. She's had to go to the sex clinic. But,
STD for Joe.
Yeah, honestly, it could go very wrong. Can you imagine this 6-year-old? Right, Brendan, write your diary of what you watched at the weekend. Right, fungal infection, fur coat, dark wood, strangers, and I'd be carted off to the head, me.
But taking you back, does anyone remember, like me? You remember when you went to school in my time, and you had to remember they'd get you to wrap your book up in wallpaper.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And I always used to draw really bad Daleks inside my book, or characters or monsters from Doctor Who. Did anyone else used to do that, or is it just Sado me that used
No,
to
you're
do
the
that?
one who you were the one needing section then.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Do you know what? I'm going to say something really risky, because I do a Doctor Who YouTube channel. It seems like daily at the moment. Most of my drawings were the Star Trek Enterprise. As a kid, I seemed to find it easier to do the Enterprise in a slightly decent way compared to the TARDIS. I know. I wanted to get the. There seemed to be a lot of lines you had to do, and how many windows. I was forgetting how many windows. It was like Play School gone wrong.
Yeah, I could. My Daleks were terrible, but I had a guy, a friend who used to sit next to me, who was great at art, and he used to draw fantastic Daleks. So I hated him. I could just get by with drawing a TARDIS. That was about it.
But I was one of those kids. I would set it all up. I would draw all the characters, and yeah, if once I'd done Daleks or whatever, and an Enterprise, I did me. So I set it all up. But then you get the laser, then another laser, and before you know it, the picture just looks like lots of scroll and scriggles because you
Yeah.
killed everybody. Is anybody else like that? Destructive? Graham, Planet of the Daleks is my least favourite. Wash your mouth out. Least favourite Pertwee. So that's a 9 out of 10 for me. I see what you're doing there. It's wonderful and probably the most typical Doctor Who story there is. Do you know what? I agree. We're going to have an agree fest here. Kez the Drone. Peladon is a good episode, but I've heard people say it's boring. Yeah, I wonder who that is. Is that Cybermat Strikes, who has a problem with Peladon? Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, garbage. Pillars is the word you're looking for. Yes, I do like the pillars and all the rest of it. You know I've got an affliction. We've got Sadako. I wrapped my book in some Terminator photos of Arnie. My teacher told me, you really do fancy yourself. Oh, God, get them. Pure historical, hello. To be honest, Planet of the Daleks is one of my... is this allowed? But I'll watch that 1,000 times before I watch Disney Pooh. He's like you. He has to mention this
pure historical. Thank you for saying that. We'll take him down together. All right. We'll break out of detention.
Stephen Braddock. I was always getting asked to draw the Doctor Who monsters at school, but also the Jerry Anderson vehicles at the same time. Oh, do you know what? This is the kind of detention I want, or the school I want. It sounds great. Mind you, I did like that Supreme Dalek. Absolutely loved it. It's the Imperial music almost, and him going through the jungle on that bit of AstroTurf, and with a convenient, gardener's world and put the plants in the right places. But I was scared. I can tell you. I mean, were you in the thread? I was scared of those jungle sequences when Joe's hiding and a Dalek's going past. For some reason, that really got me. Daleks in colour in a jungle. I know it's very like some of the 60s ones. I know Terry Nation was recycling, but for me, this was new and it was exciting. And Daleks in colour, proper colour. The Day of the Daleks I'd seen in black and white. I was only a little kiddie winky in Torquay caravan on holiday, so, but I was confused by its light bulbs that looked too big.
Yeah,
and its torch.
And do you know what? I love it in this where he basically exterminates the other Dalek for failure. It's fantastic stuff, isn't it? Really good stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, they didn't have unions in the Daleks, did they? And we all did. I think we've always liked secretly a dodgy boss. A real ruthless boss who comes in and just wipes out the staff.
Exactly. Yeah, I think for me, like when you see this Dalek, this is what I loved about what I say classic Doctor Who is. You don't have the biggest budget, but like you're just showing there, it builds a world in your mind. It builds all the, how big the Dalek Empire is, the various different versions of it. And it reminds me of obviously, the 60s Dalek comic strips I absolutely adore, and I've got in my collection. It just, it's like when I see stuff like that, I literally want to finish this show and I want to go and read my Dalek comic strips, my Dalek stories, and just drift away because this is what I say is proper Doctor Who. It just
I'm showing brilliantly. You. Well, I'm sure the memories tonight in our detention. It's not just me and John. So I'm going to bring you all in as much as I can. Mad Mackham, the only episode that actually sent me behind the sofa. Which episode in particular was it? Was it the reveal of the invisible Dalek? Was it when they're breaking down the door? Was it when, oh my God, the Daleks are going to they're all hiding behind the door and they're all going to be picked up by hot air? All right. Sounds like that was the only dodgy bit with this flimsy plastic, which the Wombles had told you was not a good thing. So I was conflicted by listening to the Wombles and then saving your own ass. It was one of those dodgy ones, that one. Farsight, that's very generous of you. Brendan, the Seventh Doctor returned to Peladon in the
Did.
New Adventures novel Legacy. You might even like it. I might have to look it out. Do you know I'm like a virgin on these things? New Adventures, hardly any big finish. I haven't really touched all that, so it's a
I
new world for me.
I would say to you as well, and following on from what Farsight said there, I adore the comic strip Emperor of the Daleks that was in Doctor Who magazine. I love that story by the fact that it it follows on from Revelation of the Daleks, and it establishes how the Davros creates the
Yeah.
Imperial Dalek race, and it's fantastic. And he's Peladon, he's found his army, and that's what I mean. There were really good people there that are able to build the world for you,
Well,
and
we've
great.
Well, we've got. I mean, people are going wild about all various things, and so. By the way, if anyone doesn't know, this is the Doctor and the Daleks omnibus from St. Michael that I was gifted by my aunt and uncle, and the illustrations in colour of Planet of the Daleks and Genesis of the Daleks, superb. And that's why I read it even more. Stephen O'Neill, I love the scene in Planet of the Daleks where the Daleks are in the lab, accidentally drop the virus. Oops. I mean, work hazards they are preparing and realize they will be entombed forever. And it's a bit like are you being served abroad? You go on if you go on holiday with a workmate and you go, oh shit, I'm with you for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Oh bloody hell, you're a pain in the ass, you.
Well,
You're not gonna you know the conversation is gonna be a killer.
what we didn't get though, and we should have got in this story, is you should have had like the idiot Dalek messing about in the back that is messing around with a Bunsen burner or something like that and setting it off. That would have just added so much to it. K24, will you stop messing about with the gas and the plague virus? Can you please
Yeah,
pack it in?
well, those two scientists, Daleks, that you knew there was a problem because wasn't there a point when they were banning the band and they nearly knocked the
Yeah.
tropical aquarium over? Yes. Yeah. Wait, be careful, and you're thinking, all right, keep your hair on. Don't let your bulb go off. But you can imagine the Daleks bricking it. They're on a work jolly, aren't they? They're doing all
Yeah.
expenses. They're going, we're on Spyrodon. Oh, we're working really hard. Hold on a minute. Yeah, it's going to take us a few more months.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. And
the Glastonbury for Daleks, wasn't it?
lies, yeah. The Daleks are like BBC at Glastonbury. And expenses are through the roof. And then all of a sudden, Tim Davie arrives. All of a sudden, the Supreme Dalek arrives and goes,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here? And you can see some Daleks having a fag behind, the
Yeah.
they all go to they all go to the local Spyrodon whorehouse.
Yeah. They're like, why have you built a giant pyramid here? What's going on? What are you doing? Why have you built several layers of labs?
Well, we had some spare brick, and I mean,
And we got
why
the
are all the
slaves to
Daleks
deal
only
with it.
toys? Why are they only toys? I wanted real Daleks, an army of Daleks, not a toy set.
I did feel sorry though for the the files having to fly in an MFI furniture, spaceship. Yeah.
The kettle landed.
It was like an 80s 70s 80s camper van, for space travel. That wasn't it, the size of it. Bless him.
Mind you, Latep. I take the mick out of Latep. Suddenly goes, oh, that's a woman. I really like you, Joe. Do you? God, you're a bit forward. I've only been in this one episode, and I had a fungal infection before then. Yes, I really fancy you. The Thal girls are really tame. Oh,
It's
I don't
it's
know.
okay. I've got my spray. We can get close.
Yeah, but then the Spyrodon's going, hold on a minute, I bailed her out here.
Yeah.
Hey, stop moving in on her. I don't know. It's I can see a different world when I look at it now. Big Finish
Yeah.
never looked at that, did they? So just to remind everybody, Terry Nation got it in the neck with critics and that, but yes, we've had slave workers before, oppressed people. I mean, he loves a tropical style planet, but that landing when you get there and he's got his MFI bed and he's in a coma and he's got polystyrene on his face and the TARDIS is getting attacked. I mean, what a brilliant start. Jeopardy. None
Oh,
of this waving your stupid, wand around going, I think we're in 1704. None of that rubbish.
yeah. I mean, like you say, that where it leads on from Frontier in Space. This is why, and this is just the way my mind works now. Where you used to get the VHSs and they're always coming out in unusual orders, you just watched it. Whereas Frontier in Space now, I cannot watch Planet of the Daleks without watching Frontier in Space beforehand. I just can't do it. My mind will not allow me to do it because I need to see the ending of it and then to go straight into Planet of the Daleks.
And we all know it's meant to be kind of 12 episodes, and you think, I actually do like Frontier in Space. In fact, I love the book. Look at those figures. I mean, we did do a review of this, so I've got this all ready, but sexy figures, 10 million, 10 million, 9 million, all very good stuff. Great front cover, one of the great iconic pictures. Oh god, it's all that. And now I know how they did the Spyrodons in those early 70s. You dress somebody in white.
That would have been more terrifying if they just looked like that in the story.
I know. Can you imagine? The rehearsals must have been a scream.
Yeah.
But look at them all. The BBC behind the scenes, moustache and beard and big thick glasses with a clipboard. They're all like Dennis Norden going, what the hell is this stupid kids show all about? What's all this? So yes, it just look at this. Look at this. If only the Daleks had invaded the TARDIS like that.
Wonderful stuff. Look at that.
I know.
That looked like a Mavellan there in the bottom corner, didn't it? Look with what he's got on his head.
Yeah, well, the Spyrodons are quite sexy underneath, apparently. So there you go. So if you haven't seen our review of this, that's the thumbnail: Planet of the Daleks, Nation Rehash or Genius. Because I was aware of the criticism, but to be quite honest, I did actually think, sometimes you can recycle. The Womble said recycle, and if Terry Nation recycled and most of the TV producers didn't notice, good for him. To be honest, a certain person I've banned myself from talking about recycles quite a lot.
Who's that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who it is since I've done this self-imposed sentencing. I am the teacher in this detention, so I've got to be careful, you see.
We're breaking him, everybody. He's starting to crack, you can tell.
Well, I'll break everybody now, just for a quick laugh. The Who-Pets did the Planet of the Daleks, and so I'll just quickly show you. I was going to do more of these, John.
Brilliant.
Tales of the TARDIS. I'm in my TARDIS, but I can't be bothered dusting. Watch this. Look at that. I mean, that looks scary out there, but I can't be bothered. I'm Dr. Killjoy today, so I'm going to pretend I'm ill. Oh, Joe, oh.
Doctor, what's wrong?
Oh, I don't feel very well.
Oh,
I think it's
I
a
came
Time
early.
Lord coma. You couldn't go and do some shopping for us.
That's a problematic shot,
and
that.
get some spuds and some B&M Daleks.
We love them.
They're Chupa Chups.
I'm really scared. It's like I'm coming to a cliffhanger moment. It's okay, honey babes. It's only me, the shooty doctor. I'm trying to increase my range of acting. I'm actually playing the gay Spyrodon, Sebastian. Watch out! Watch out!
Stop the celebrations. We got away from the Dalek. That's all we did. We've got to hide somewhere. We've got to get away. Now, who the hell are you? You've just appeared in this plot.
I'm Lartep.
Larchep, Jockstrap, Claptrap, whatever your name is. I know why you're here. You just want to get your leg over on my insistence. That's unruly. So, we need to hide from the Daleks, because that one, luckily, is still thawing out. So where can we go to hide?
I think we need to take Joe to the Plane of Stones.
Plane of Stones? That sounds very, very elaborate, but... hold on, I know what you're up to. You want a patio. You just want to be somewhere with my assistant on her own.
Somewhere on this planet there's 10,000 Daleks.
Come on, give us a kiss, Joe.
Oh no, I'm no go, Joe.
Oh, really? Oh. She's like a Jadoon. I'm no go Joe. No floor Joe Joe. Do you know what? This is in our plane of stones in the garden, and we had our mum and dad's dog, who, as everybody knows, kidnapped one of our Hoopettes and nearly raped them and took them away, and that was the end of them. And of course, he's on a leash just out of this shot, so we couldn't work the puppet, so I had to balance him, and he was blown over in a second. Oh, bless. The things we do, I tell you what. This was a very dangerous scene for No Go Joe.
No looky tonight for you two lovebirds, Larchep or Scalpel or whatever you're called. And, Joe, no shenanigans, because I think behind those rocks there's a lot of eyes. I think we're surrounded tonight, kids. I think we better light a fire or two. There's eyes everywhere. It's worrying, isn't it? I think we're in danger tonight.
It is. I wonder if they've seen too much.
What have you been up to? They're all thawing out because of the cost of living crisis. There's 6 of them. I think we need to get to B&M Peterlee and B&M Huddle the Hole later on and find the rest. Oh, I didn't see that lift shaft there. Sorry about that. Oh, are you all right, Joe? Hey, don't you get ideas, jockstrap, pet lip, whatever you're called. Oh God, the Daleks are here! The Daleks are here! Quick, I've got this genius idea. We could use these balloons to escape the lift shaft.
I think there's another reason why we're going up.
There's an assistance with upskirting there to make sure
I know. We keep making the dirty old man get into dodgy situations, I tell you what. Well, I had the moment with the sauce when I actually had the Hoopette old man sat on the face of the companion. Don't go. It's videoed. It's out there. Yeah. Puppet porn, I think it's called puppet porn. But anyway, this,
had to leave the pub, from what I heard.
This is us messing on in the middle of the detention when the teachers dashed off for the loo, and then they come back and we're going, yeah. So basically, everybody, I want this to be a nostalgia fest. I want us to enjoy talking about old classic Doctor Who, and I thought the Hoopettes might just join in there. So there you go, Planet of the Daleks.
Can I just say as well quickly about Planet of the Daleks? It has for me the best quote in Doctor Who for me, and it's where they're sat in the cell. And the third Doctor says, courage. What is it? He says, courage isn't just about being be afraid. It's about. I'm paraphrasing now, but he says something like, courage is about being afraid, but doing what you have to do anyway. And it's a wonderful speech that he gives. When they're sat in the cell together. I forget who it is he sat with. I forget the name of the character now. It's gone from my head.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's just a wonderful speech that he gives that I just think that just is perfect Doctor Who for me.
Well, be careful you don't say there was politics in Doctor Who, because they jump on us like a shot.
Yeah.
So, just before we move on to season 13 Blu-ray, everybody, just as a reminder, I'm going to try and cover as much as I can. And of course, San Diego is getting set up, Comic-Con, when they're going to possibly talk about various sins. The set's getting done. Oh, God. So, yes.
This isn't detention now. He's moved it into torture, everybody. Do you notice that?
No, this is when the teacher advertises the foreign trips. Yeah. Now we can all go to France or Germany. If you book ahead, kids, here's the letter. Go and get it. But that's the one. So basically, I will be doing a lot on the San Diego Comic-Con when it starts later in July. But I just wanted to get that in there. And apparently they've got the Museum of the Moving Image or whatever it's called. We've all seen it. Worlds of Wonder, that was it. We saw it in Liverpool. The World of Wonder. Some great exhibits there. And they've promised at last another trailer for the war between the land and the sea. Are they going to drag this out? I hope they're not, because I think we need to get it out the way. We
A
need
trailer for a trailer for a trailer is what we'll get. And you'll have seen the series before it even airs because everything's in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that will all come up. But I want everybody. Are you all in a good nostalgic mood? The Who pets are. John is. I am. We're trying not to mention certain things that have afflicted us now. So let's do this one then. I'm taking you back to the 70s. That was our opening sequence. That might have been the telly you had. You're getting cozy. You might be sat on the floor on the carpet, ready for Doctor Who. And of course, yeah, there you go. Does that even help you even more? You really are mid-70s now, everybody. Yeah.
Pure joy, isn't it? You know.
Oh God, this tunnel sequence. Oh. And it seems serious, and of course the top right picture. I always thought I saw Santaran going past. I always did.
And you know, with this, you know, again, it was just too early for me. You know, I said Davison was my first Doctor, but when I was watching these, you know, I'm on record. The first two VHSs that my parents ever bought me when they were getting me into Doctor Who, they'd got me into Doctor Who watching it, was Revenge of the Cybermen and Death to the Daleks. And I loved Death to the Daleks. I thought, cool, that Pertwee, that third Doctor is fantastic, and I love all of the.
Yeah, can I have the? Yeah, I want the Monk soundtrack.
Yeah, and the chat. But then, you know, sorry, and also Robots of Death we got, and I watched Robots of Death, and I loved Pertwee as the third Doctor, but as soon as I saw Tom doing what he does in Robots of Death, I was like, I love this Doctor. This is my Doctor, and that intro. Straight away always takes me back. I put it on how many times a year, and it's just an absolute joy.
Well, Stephen Braddock, 1976, the golden years of Doctor Who. Funnily enough, you've picked that year. Obviously, the season 13 started in 75, ended in 76. So you're on the money. Pure historical. I think Terror of the Zygons is the scariest Tom Baker episode. We're going to talk about it in a moment. But first, folks, since I've got you in the mood of 1976, were you around, John?
No, I was a 79er, mate.
Ah, well, there you go. So I'm going to treat you all now. Get in the mood, get your comfort blanket. Just imagine, here we go. We're going to have our TV schedule slumber blanket for a second.
Sensorites have found a way to take control.
It's our minds that they take over.
Speak up, I can't hear.
Earthmen have visited the set sphere.
But we do not wish to harm you.
Oh, so let's me take you to September 1976. Now, just to get you in the mood, folks, and then we're going to do season 13, because basically this is as close as you're going to get, really. This is obviously the season after, obviously, if it's September 76, but this is the radio times I gathered. So BBC News, 5:15, a bit of boring regional news. Then The Wonderful World of Disney, just to get you in the mood, a bit of song and dance. Shooty would have loved it. 6:10, obviously season 14, The Mask of Mandragora. Then you've got 6:35, Bruce Forsyth on the Generation Gamer compilation. Then The Duchess of Duke Street, remember that, with Gemma. Then you've got The Two Ronnies. Then your mum and dad said, if you get your teeth cleaned and you get washed and you get in your pajamas, we'll let you watch Starsky and Hutch. So you come back down and you've been as good as gold. And then as Starsky and Hutch race around America with that great car.
Yeah.
And Huggy Bear, Shooty Gatwa. And then you get closer to the news, and then you're going, but there's match of the day. So, of course, then you're saying, can I have my supper? And, of course, that was the evening. And sometimes you'd still be awake and you'd hear the Parkinson music. Is anybody with me on that one?
Oh, look, How the Mighty Have Fallen. Look at that lineup. It's superb, isn't it? You know, from that to what we have now on the BBC. It's such a shame. I mean, look, I know there were fewer channels back then, but it was just that's bouter after bouter of cracking stuff, you know.
And it's BBC knowing their job. They've got the kids stuff, The Wonderful World of Disney. Then you've got
Yeah.
Doctor Who, which starts to do the bridge. Then you've got a game show with fun and laughs and Bruce Forsyth, Panto stuff, strange games, DIY games, and all the rest of it, and a laugh. Then you've got a serious drama. And then you've got a really good laugh with the two Ronnies. Then you've got an American drama. Then you've got sport. And then you've got Hollywood celebrities on Park. I mean, dear God.
It's wonderful. I mean, again, you could go back. If someone was able to transport you back in time for that evening and say, look, you can watch this at the time it goes out live, you would watch all of that stuff and you'd be an absolute joy just sitting in front of your TV and enjoying all of that stuff.
I have to say, and I might sound my age, but I really would be very interested in even in this world of streaming, and it's much more competitive, I acknowledge. We may not get the 20 millions and stuff, but something with that range of quality and genre on Saturday night on BBC One, I think they'd still win the Saturday night.
Yeah,
I
because
think people would tune in.
absolutely right, because what was it about? It wasn't lecturing you, it was about entertaining you. That was the difference back then, you know.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame where it's gone, but again, it's just so good that we had those moments in the past, you know. Again, I like I said, I was born in 79, so I had the 80s stuff that I enjoyed, but it was still the same in the 80s. I still had wonderful stuff on Saturdays to enjoy, you know. I was in a really lucky time to grow up, I think.
I think we all were if you saw stuff like this. And I'll show another one next time we do this, but 76 since we're doing season 13. So is everybody ready? Is everyone in the right frame of mind now? We're in 75, 76. You've seen the opening sequence. You know what the score is. You know what Doctor Who is sitting by. Okay, then. I suppose we better go for it. Season 13, Blu-ray collection. I've talked to so many people, including the source. You wondered if I'd mentioned the source tonight, so let me just get it out there. The source has spoken.
Are they Auton pecs that you've got on there, Brendan?
I tell you what, I can dream on, can't I? I think Jamie can as well. But it's funny what AI does. It makes you not look like yourself. But no, the source was actually saying season 13 favourite season. And I think there's an element where, season 13, maybe season 12. I'm really on the money now. I didn't think they'd bring it out so soon, though, I have to say, because I thought they were going to tease us with maybe Key to Time first, or, I thought they were going to do a bit of that.
Well, isn't it interesting that this came out for pre-order and it instantly went to #1 on the Amazon charts, for people pre-ordering. And it's funny, isn't it? It's almost like there's a lot of people out there that have a longing for what is quintessential Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who. What does that say about what they've done lately? I really, really hope some intelligent people finally take note of this and they go, right, okay, actually, people are buying this stuff. They're pre-ordering it. It's selling out like in record time. But let's go back to this kind of style.
But the thing is, it's even worse than that if you think about it. Most of us got the VHS of this. Most of us then got the DVD of this. Yep. And now we're going for the third or fourth time, and it's still, as you said, #1. Whoa. Yep. And you just have to say, give us 20 years, everybody. Will the unmentionable seasons be that popular? And I'm guessing, nah.
No, they will. I think there are people out there that will still buy the last era of Who or what they call Who, and they will have it just because they're completists. They'll have it in their collection, but it will just gather dust for decades. Whereas this, as we know, we will watch this again and again and again because the stories are so strong. They are excellent. The acting is top drawer.
But do you get
writing, all of
but
it.
do you get scared of this? I do get scared as a Doctor Who fan. Do you all in the thread where if you overwatch a classic, do you start to erode your memories? And I don't want to do that. So there's an element where, yeah, I could watch Talons of Wen-Chi-Yan, Terror of the Zygons, Genesis of the Daleks, you know the list. I could watch them quite a lot, but I'm scared of eroding that absolute, because I don't want to lose the memory of that first.
It's never happened to me, and I think I always remember the first times when I've seen an episode of Doctor Who, but I watch Doctor Who so frequently, and I would say it's similar to me. Doctor Who is on the top tier for me, always will be with my science fiction stuff. But it's similar in a way with Stargate, the Stargate series, and Star Trek, where I can watch them again and again and again. Mum always says to me, she goes, with Doctor Who, she goes, "You've watched them like 50 times, aren't you bored of them?" And I went, "No, never will be bored of them because they are such strong stories. All you've got to do is just pace yourself and go, right, okay, I've watched that one. I'll give that one a rest until I get the feel for it again. But I've got so many more in the collection to enjoy. This is just top drawer stuff that I will never get bored of."
So let's just remind ourselves, everybody, this is season 13 in its entirety. So tricky questions to start off with before we talk about extras and some elements of the stories we're looking forward to seeing again. Now, you take a look at that list, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm asking you to choose your favourite kid. I'm asking you. So you've got 6 children. Which one is your favourite? I'm going to go early. It's hard. It really is hard. But I'm going to say, for a multitude of reasons that we'll maybe list in a minute, in a very strong season, it's Terror of the Zygons for me. John?
Oh, I mean, again, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? It's going to be Pyramids of Mars for me. You know how much I love Pyramids of Mars. That was a dirty question you put towards me then, wasn't it?
Well,
you knew the answer before you said it. You're crafty so and so.
And garbage. You see, this is the beauty of it. We all love season 13, but so far we've got differences of opinion. So
Yeah.
I say Terror of the Zygons. I'll say why in a moment. Although, Graham, Brendan, this is tough, but it's Seeds of Doom. Then you've got Garbage saying Android Invasion. Then you've got Jerry Atrick, as we just got Pyramids of Mars agreeing with you. This gets interesting. Farsight, Pyramids. Now it's starting to come through. Seeds of Doom and Pyramids and all the rest of it. But if this is classic nostalgia for everybody, there is an attachment to a few other things. So we might as well get really into this now.
What a season, though, mate. I mean, look at that for stories. Incredible.
The thing is with Terror of the Zygons is, I know it was delayed over from where it should have been after Revenge of the Cybermen, but it worked. We know it worked because I remember seeing that advert. I think you saw a bit of an oil rig wobbling. I think you saw a hand, the Spaghetti Hoops hand, and you had a bit of doctor or something like that.
Yeah.
And you were just going, whoa! And I tell you what, there was something about the Zygons, something about that spaceship, something about that whispering, and something about you just had a whole season of Tom Baker and you wanted more.
Oh, yeah.
You were hungry for it. And your summer holidays was nearly finished, and this was it. So for me, Terror of the Zygons was on the money. And before we just go into that, our friend Neil Cole, and I will be in 2 weeks' time, anybody who's up in this region, I'll put it up there. I'm going to start advertising now. On Sunday, the 20th of July, between 11 and 4 in Queen's Hall, Hexham. So we're right up in Northumberland, everybody. Sophie Aldred, Rob Alsop, Monster Maker, Neil Cole, Museum of Classic Sci-Fi, Keith Barnfather, and others. and the Sensphere were all there, calling all sci-fi and Doctor Who fans. Launch into the summer holidays by celebrating the astounding exhibition of screen-used props, costumes and monsters. Come along for the day, see the exhibition, meet the stars, watch the interviews, and they've got me involved as the one broadcaster of the day. And it's called Seek, Locate, Exterminate, or Seek, Locate, Destroy. So please, I'm mentioning that because there's Neil Cole. You all know Neil Cole, and there he is. He was given the job, and he's in the extras, of restoring the Scarrison. And he told me this secret that I couldn't tell anyone. And he had a deadline. It was in January, and he was stressing out. He was working all round the clock to restore the Scarrison so that they could film this moment when they showed it to Philip Hinchcliffe.
Fantastic.
And it is. So there you go. That's how it was presented to him, the Scarrison.
Fair play to Neil. Brilliant.
Well,
Talent, isn't he?
This is Doctor Who. This is fans. This is nostalgia. We want everything, to do with the actual series. So there you go. He gets that in, the box, and then he starts to restore it. There you go.
Look at that. Hats off to Neil Cole. That's top drawer stuff. Do support him, as Brendan says, because he's if he can do stuff like this, the guy needs to be supported, and his museum, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's good to see.
Yeah, and so as Doctor Who fans, we like context, background information. We like to know the props. So he's taken the latex. Neil Cole did the same with the Davros original, a Michael Wisher mask, and he had the original bit, and he's restored the rest, but he's kept the original bit with it. So he tries his best. He doesn't change. He doesn't destroy. He tries to restore it to its full magnificence.
Yeah.
So, as Jeremy says, a good restoration project. So, just to show you for a second, you'll see it on the extras for season 13. But God, he was working his socks off. Look at the state of it.
Oh, it looks like it's been messing around with Joe on Planet of the Daleks, didn't it?
Yeah, I know it looks. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. So there you go with Philip Hinchcliffe and Toby. That's what it looked like. Then he restores it. So good lad Neil Cole. He'll be there. Museum of Classic Sci-Fi, Allendale, up in Northumberland. I've been twice now, and I'll see him in 2 weeks' time. So that's on this disc. And of course, before we hit all the stories, what is it from the extras that you're looking forward to from this page? So we've got Behind the Sofa, The Escape Room, Tom Talks, Graham Harper talking, Philip Hinchcliffe talking, returns to the locations of season 13, and an Ian Marter. Oh God, there's a big here.
I mean, for me, it's got to be the Ian Marter profile. I adored Ian Marter's portrayal of Harry in Doctor Who. For me, I really wish that trio had gone on longer, because they were just working so brilliantly. And then I loved what he did with the Target novel, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I would say the one after that, I would say, is probably going to be Graham Harper, to be honest. I'm quite interested to hear.
I like Graham Harper.
Graham, yeah.
Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah.
Going to sneeze. I know it's a hard one, isn't it? Because obviously Tom Baker, but we know Tom Baker won't remember the series. We know from the Tom Baker years he couldn't remember the series.
Yeah.
They showed him clips, remember that? And he was going,
yeah,
oh, I can't remember this. So Ian Marter will be interesting, because I don't know much about Ian Marter, bless him. I like the Behind the Sofas. Sometimes it really depends on the chemistry.
Yeah.
But yes, on that page, that's those. And on this one, here we go again. So we've got, let's have a look. That's a clever thing to do, Brendan. Yeah. Tom Baker, brand new audio, updated special effects for Terror of the Zygons. I mean, I thought the spaceship taking off.
I thought that was good.
I thought it was good anyway, through the water and everything.
Yeah.
HD recreations of Pyramids of Mars and Brain of Morbius repeat screenings. Tales of the TARDIS, we'll have a look at that a bit later. Never, never before released footage from Math Show, Disney Time and more, and interviews with Liz Sladen and Michael Shade. I mean, there's a lot going on there. What's your taster there?
I'm always really interested in the new effects for a Doctor Who story, so I'd be interested to see what they do with Terror of the Zygons. I'm assuming it's all the bulk of it's going to be the Scarrison, so that will be great. But funnily enough, I don't have an overwhelming feeling to watch Tales of the TARDIS, to be honest, mate.
We're going to start.
I don't know why.
Yeah. We're going to start. I mean, these are amazing sets, as John was saying. I mean, the imagery and everything, and you know, you once you've started, you have to commit yourself to the full whack again, don't you? But why do we give them money? It's because of the stories and the memories. So, I said this is my favourite of the season. I've listed a few of the reasons. There's something, and actually, so that I'm not always the one waffling on. Here's pure historical and Zygons, best ever music score. Planet of Evil, best ever jungle set. Pyramids, best cultural appropriation. Android, best nation non-Dalek story. Morbius, best homage. Seeds, best human villain. Nicely summed up there. That's not you're spot 100%. On. But yes, he started that with the best ever music score. There was something about this music score that was really creepy and different, and it really worked. You could tell it wasn't Dudley Simpson. It was just so different stylistically.
It's fantastic.
It just worked so well. And the haunting bits when they're in the castle, and you know when Sarah's on her own,
wonderful,
and she's looking up a book.
Yeah.
And you know she's in trouble. You know, there's Lurch behind, you know, that big Scottish, you know,
caper or whatever.
Toss the caber, Jeff Capes, And then oh God. And of course, John Wood? Yeah,
brilliant.
Oh, his voice is just
Is it the Duke of Forgill, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, again, wonderful stuff. And again, when I was saying a few minutes ago about all the stories that are in this season, and all of them, you just drift away in them. This is a classic example of where I am when I love and really enjoy something so much. The phone goes off. I don't even glance at the phone. I'm in the zone with these stories, and I will just zoom through them.
Your audio's coming in and out at the moment. So
okay.
I don't know what I did. Yeah, Stephen Braddock, Jeffrey Bergen's scores for Zygons and Seeds are so atmospheric. It's interesting, isn't it? Whether Philip Hinchcliffe was trying to add competition or just add experimentation, but then we never got him again. And I have to say, Seeds of Doom, great soundtrack as well. Terror of the Zygons, great soundtrack. You can tell it's the same composer, of course. You can tell with the style.
Wonderful.
But fab stuff. And it really added to it. And since I'm starting on Terror of the Zygons, I really do think it gave it was almost like a thriller quality in the barn.
Yeah.
And the jabbing on. The moment in end of episode 1, the nurse Zygon and that hand. I mean, these were cliffhangers, and you had a week to work it out.
Harry being shot was a big one as well.
Yeah.
Am I sounding okay, by the way? Am I all right?
Yep. Obviously, the pizza spaceship was very good. The spaghetti hula hoops men, because you'd had the Humpty Dumptys, the Suntarans, then you had the spaghetti hula hoops men. For some reason, I associated a lot of Doctor Who monsters with food. But yes, these were fab. And of course, that whole idea that they were like a fetus in shape.
Yeah.
And so they were really weird when they moved to a degree, weren't they? I think it's the first time I'd been introduced to shape-shifting. And whoa, so that whole thing, you mentioned the invisible Dalek, which is really freaky as a thought when you're scared of Daleks. But a shapeshifter is also scary in the fact that, is that Harry? Is that Elizabeth Sladen? And of course, they did it twice in a way, because you've got the shapeshifting here, and then in an android invasion, Sarah was a duplicate.
Yeah. I mean, I still think as well, mate, that, yeah, they brought them back in New Who, but I still think that look, the original look of the Zygons, is the superior look. It really is.
Yeah, don't give them spiky teeth.
Yeah.
What? There's no need.
And vomiting when they change, that's what they did. But yeah, the original look is fantastic. But again, just look at that image there. Look at the sets. Wonderful.
Well, it felt quite vast, actually, that room.
Yeah.
And it had, look, I was of my age, I was 5, 6, and a bookshelf that moves, we all know that from Scooby-Doo, and then, because the proper Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And as you know, there's that scene with the hand, and then they go down a back passage into, I was so scared of that going down behind that bookshelf. And then, of course, you heard a scream. I mean, this was thriller minute stuff. And it's the thriller minute because it lets the imagination run riot. The seasons I'm not allowing myself to get bothered about never allowed you time to just imagine. Watching him sat in a chair, pretending he's the Duke of Forgill, yeah? That's still scary because of his voice and knowing he's lying to say. Honestly, please, everybody, showrunners, writers, let the kids, let the viewers have some space to imagine.
Yeah, let it breathe.
Yeah. TARDIS travels, Jeremy, the Doctor and Sarah in the decompression chamber was scary. And he was so alien.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good stuff, that.
I also think it was, what's his name? The one with the sixth sense. The second.
Yes.
The son of the son of the son, or whatever. In the pub.
Yes.
And where he thinks something's up, and then he gets strangled. It's terrifying, and he lets out that scream, and they run back. Great stuff.
I mean, and it felt like proper sci-fi to me, because little things like this, orthodontology, and he puts a plaster cast in. Now, as a kid, you're going, oh, that's clever. And then it just helps the imagination. Out comes, and you're going, that's a tooth.
Yeah.
That's a big tooth. And, you're ahead of the Brigadier. That's just great. And then, of course, we all loved it when the Doctor was right. And you've got the the American going, that's not a tooth. What are you saying, something with a tooth that big? And you're going, no, the Doctor knows. You need to trust him. Loved all that.
Wonderful. But do you know what? I also love where they have those little bits of comedy as well, where the Brigadier is gassed, and then the Doctor comes back and he's like, you've been asleep, you've been unconscious. On duty, sometimes, Doctor, you talk absolute nonsense, and he won't accept it because he's on duty. It's wonderful stuff.
I just think this orange and green, and the whisper, and that whole that sound.
Yeah.
When they moved all the organic stuff on the spaceship, was that screeching and they're going, come on. I don't know. There's something about it, and I can't beat it. I can understand how people go, come on, we can do better than this now. But there's something about it. And yes, it is also John Woodnutt's voice. Sometimes the voice just works and he gets it right. Angus Lenny was the innkeeper, the Hocus Pocus. And you always heard the bagpipes and then they stopped.
Yeah.
And then the moose with the eye.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, it just how it sets everything up straight away, but it starts so quick as well. You're off, you're off and running. And when you're talking about the sounds as well about that ship, like the Doctor, where he does the self-destruct, and I love it where you see in the liquid come up, that's the self-destruct timer. Just brilliant stuff. Top drawer. And again, when you talk about modern Who, there are pretty people in the production team, very, very talented people that could recreate. They could do new and updated ideas for this. They're not giving it.
But they wouldn't do stuff like the pitchfork in the barn anymore, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
It's a bit like I'm still trying to do my Sea Devils one. It's just because of the nice weather. But the
Yeah.
Sea Devils bit when Roger Delgado throws a knife at the Doctor. I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
I don't know, but it gave you a clear threat, a tangible threat, didn't it? I mean, honestly, somebody's trying to fork you. Excuse me, I said that correctly. Stephen O'Neill, classic Who, had brilliant cliffhangers. And how can you do a program without cliffhangers and no next time and preview? Stephen O'Neill, you're forgetting another thing. How many photographs had we seen of these 2 seasons before we even saw the show? I'd done a dot to dot. I'd worked out half the bloody plot. No, maybe no photographs. Don't give anything away. Let it be a mystery.
Can I just say as well quickly before we read that one, what Woodhouse 122 said? He said the nurse was scary with blood dripping down her arm. I'll add to that as well. When you say about they wouldn't do it now, when she clocks that unit officer on the head with the rock, you know, you really hear it, and you really hear her just smashing one. You wouldn't have that anymore, would you? You know?
No, and we did the explosive RTD interview stream. Please check it out. It's doing very well, and we were there first. I mean, we were for once. I'll say when we're not. I'll say when we're not. But we were on that one. But the RTD, oh God, anyway, allow this minute, everybody. Hold on. Let me just kind of warn you. I want nobody triggered tonight, otherwise they'll tell me off. Yes, him. RTD said in his interview he has to be very responsible and he won't show blood and gore and stuff. And yet people are mentioning they remember the blood and the nurse, and I think it helped.
Yeah. Again, you can show these things. You know, we've talked about it before, but they need to bring back scaring kids. You know, kids like to have a scare and hide behind the sofa or grab the mum or dad's leg, you know, and the adrenaline's going. Because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid as well, when there were scary moments in Doctor Who, did you do that also, not just behind the sofa, where you sat on the first step of the stairs, and every now and again you just creep round to have a look? You know,
I was front row seat, sat on my potty. It's just I was sat on the potty and I was 6. No, I was just no. There was a period when I refused. I refused to go to the toilet. Well, look, if you hit a scary moment, you might just let one go and everything's safe. No, I don't know. I know I did it with the Sea Devils. Anyway, Stephen Braddock, yes, a monster of frightening size and power. This one they call the Doctor is a threat to us. Already he's found out too much. He must. I mean. And that's because they were just spying on him in Scooby-Doo style. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's all kids want. We want a painting where the eyes move. You just want stuff like that. You really don't need to do song and dance routines and guff and messaging. I mean, they could have done a messaging about the oil industry, but not really. They could have done a messaging about various things and Scottish nationalism. No. Just enjoy the bloody story. Yeah. Paul Richards remembers this. You can't rule the world in hiding. You have to come to the surface sometime and wave a tentacle. You'll pardon the expression. I mean, that is so racist. So racist. I mean, do you know what? If you poison yourself with the way people talk now, they'd say it was something like that. Oh, it's a joke, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, let's not forget, at the end of the story, we had the, female prime minister as well, didn't we? You know, talking to the brigadier.
And they changed and the music went, yes. You know,
resolute. Was it firm action?
And that was because obviously Mrs. Thatcher was leader of the opposition, and it was starting to look like it was a possibility.
Yeah,
I like the bit where the Doctor argues with the Brigadier about bringing him back to sort out a little trouble at sea. I love the Doctor, feet on the table, all the things we can't do in detention tonight. Feet on the table, and what's all this? You know, I hope you haven't wasted my time. Yeah. But I loved that moment when they arrived and you got the view from inside the pub and you saw Sarah, Harry, Duke of Forgill in the Land Rover, whatever it was, arrive outside. There was it was a lovely shot to show our heroes arriving outside, and now we're coming into this world. There's lovely stuff.
I also love it at the end as well. Just that wonderful shot of the TARDIS with the trees in the woods. You know, and they're about to go off, and Harry says, "No, I'm staying where I am." You know, it's wonderful. I love that ending. It's just a great image of the TARDIS with all these trees around it. I love that. I think it's great.
So that was my favourite one of a very strong season, Terror of the Zygons. Let's punctuate this with more Doctor Who, and then we're going to start talking about Planet of Evil. There you go. A bit of Jeopardy there. We've got everything tonight for your nostalgia. Now, here we go. This looks like the Who pets. Look at him. He's got these dangly legs, a bit emaciated. Oops, we need Jamie's hand up there. This was a great. We've mentioned the set. It made me think of the Planet of the Daleks set, but this is better. I know. But gosh, go on, tell us about your Planet of the Evil thoughts. What you look for.
Wow, this is wonderful. I mean, I've already seen people in the chat say about it, and I agree with it. You know, this is just a wonderful set, isn't it? You know, that's the first thing for this story that, you know, every single time I look at this and I'm like, it's a wonder. But yeah, this is a scary story as well. You know, that cliffhanger where the Doctor is knocked into the pit.
Yes. Wonderful
stuff. But like you're showing the image there, it starts so quickly, and you've got the, you know, that guard, and he's running, and then something gets him, and he's like, you know, becomes skeletal, and then he becomes mummified. You know, it's really well done. But one final thing I'll say as well, that probe that they've got with the eye.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant stuff.
The Oculoid.
Yeah.
I used it to advertise for subscribers. If anybody hasn't subscribed yet and you're watching us, give us a subscription. We're getting close to 2K. It'd be really nice to suddenly see that number. I'd feel as though, wow, something I never thought would happen. Anyway,
come and join the funnel.
Well, and certainly, I mean, we're churning them out here, aren't we? Stephen Braddock loved the Oculoid, way ahead of its time with a drone on screen, and the shot was done well. It's a good design and it's a good shot.
Well, again, it's what I like about it is it's very different because it's almost got with the eye. It's almost like it's part organic as well.
Yeah,
you know the way they do it. It's really well done. And look at
that alien snake eye type thing. Paul Richards, I love the alien setting planet. Amazing. It is stunning, and I've got some really good jungle shots in a minute. I've actually got them for us to absolutely look at some amazing angles I hadn't seen before either. So yes, I agree with you there, Graham. Yes, that crackling noise of the antimatter. That moment when Sarah Jane Smith stands and it goes past her, and she's on edge, isn't she? And you get that kind of rickety effect, and the wind. Brilliant. And something's just gone past you, and she's just had a lucky escape.
Yeah.
And the effects, I mean, come on. Doctor Who and Top of the Pops were experimenting with brand new effects, weren't they? And you had this red and nothing effect. It was really weird of that monster.
It with the effects and how this story was done, I always think of the movie Forbidden Planet.
Yes,
I see this story, because you can see that there's an oh, fair play, Stephen Braddock. Great minds think alike, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's wonderful. And again, this is just such a great story. And again, you're fixated on it from the word go, aren't you? They get you in quick. What's going on here? And it's just the Doctor and Sarah together, and they're having fun. But you know, it builds this story, you know, and it's a joy again to watch, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, Prentice Hancock, give him a shout out. Rest in peace. Yes, TARDIS travels, Jekyll and Hyde mixed with Forbidden Planet. Well, this is it. The shop. No. But you've got the jungle set, and then you've got a porter cabin. It's got that classic colonizers or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a Portaloo. But I used to love that.
Wonderful.
That takes me back to Death of the Daleks. That takes me back to various Pertwee ones, where basically you are on an alien planet, a really dangerous alien planet, and all you can hide in is this crappy little unit. To be
Yeah.
quite honest, Planet of Evil, the Porter cabin, and Joe Grant in that little Thal spaceship on Planet of the Daleks, to me is the same thing. You are really hiding from scary things, heavy breathing things, antimatter things.
Colonizers on the edge of frontier. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, with just prefab. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it
And-
to me, you thought, oh,
And that's what I liked about, the New Who story, the Satan Pit and the Impossible Planet, where they turn up there and they mentioned about the fact that this is put together like flat pack furniture. This sanctuary base that they had, the space base they had. This is what they were doing in the classic too. And I love it all because, like you say, you've got a window there, you've got a lock on the door, but it doesn't. They don't ever seem to have anything like force fields or anything like that for their quarters like that to protect them, do they?
no. Stephen Braddock, Planet set was so good. I heard about the effects people behind the Empire Strikes asked the BBC how it was done, so they could do the Dagobah set for Empire Strikes Back, which was amazing. I see what you mean. As Paul Richards said, though, the body's left stripped of flesh.
Yeah.
It is sinister. It did creep you out. Add to that rickety effect, which sounds like bones, and then you're left as bones. It kind of worked, that kind of thing, because you thought, oh, they take all your juice, all your flesh, everything away. It eats
Wonderful.
you. It eats you alive. And of course, Frederick Jaeger. And of course, we were doing DEI before it was a fad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lying, mate. You're lying because they've told us that this never used to happen at all. So I don't know where you got this. I don't know how you photoshopped this in, but clearly it's fake. Unbelievable.
Shocking. You've got different ages and all the rest. Anyway, here's the set. The set is as the standout. And I think he was nominated, or he was trying to get him nominated for BAFTA, didn't he? Of course, BAFTA wouldn't give Doctor Who, although they should. Now, for this one, I'm just going to take my frame away because we've got to enjoy the beauty of this, and we'll just talk over it. I mean, you can see it's obviously clever camera work. It looks like bumpy AstroTurf still on the ground, but the lighting is good.
Yeah.
It's very, very detailed. I mean, just look at that. And I loved it on Spyrodon. I love these vertical weird plants or pods. I love all that stuff.
I mean, these were talented people, and this was a talented person with his team putting together a wonderful set to work on. And again, I mean, I don't think there's been anything better, in Doctor Who. I just think this is up there as, I would say, arguably probably the best set that they've had in the history of Doctor Who, in my opinion.
But it looks alien. I mean, do a jungle, but look in the foreground. That looks like a really alien style plant thing.
Yep. And that they wouldn't do that now. They would do it on the Vault or the Zoom or whatever it is, where they just have it as free. It would be green screen, background, backdrop, and then they'd stick up a few plants in here. This is why I love classic Doctor Who, because for me, I always think like the practical stuff, it just adds to the story for me.
You've got but you see, if you do an alien plant, remember you're designing from scratch. You come up with this alien plant like that one in the foreground. As a kid, when I looked at that, I wasn't sure whether it was spying on you. It had eyes.
Yeah.
Because you always think of the Daleks' eye stalk, don't you? In the Dalek city in the movie.
Yes.
And I always think, are they spying like they were in the Planet of the Daleks? Those two lollipops, I mean, honestly, beautiful, imaginative.
Wonderful.
Now there's a shot I hadn't seen before, looking down on it.
Look at that. Look at that.
And
Wonderful.
so you get to see how maybe they did the oculoid and they managed to have him traveling along and all the rest of it. But I love the color. Can you imagine being an actor going, yeah, I can imagine that this looks pretty alien to me. This looks,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm transported. I'm not in Gardner's world here. This is different.
it is. And as someone said in the chat, it looks like it really does make you feel that this is a planet on the edge of the universe, that's crossing
Yes.
over, to another realm essentially, and it's just wonderful. And again, this is what I said at the beginning. This stuff is just world building. It fires your imagination. You see the story, but you picture like, well, what else has gone on before on the planet. It's really incredible stuff. I'll never get tired of this stuff. It's top drawer.
Well, what's amazing is look at the lighting, look at the fact they've got mists involved and it's got a filmic quality. And yes, in the foreground, you can actually, and I like this photograph because you can see the plastic, because remember, they had water as well. And they've got sandbags and water and plastic. But this just had everything. It looks dense. It looks alien. It's got brilliant lighting. It's got vivid colours. It's kind of the absolute opposite of the Dead Planet.
Yeah, and again, it's terrifying because you think that this planet will eat you at any given moment. Traipsing through all of that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to fall down there on this alien planet. I mean, there could be an anaconda, an alien. So I thought I'd just show you some of these shots that I haven't seen every single one of them before, particularly that one. The colours, the shapes. Now, we all know vines from Tarzan and all the rest of it, but the amount of vines and strange stingers and stuff, that added a vibe. And of course, when they did that wind effect with the antimatter creature.
Yeah.
And then them trunks. I mean, look at those trunks there. That looks sinister. So I hope everybody's enjoyed that. And yes, Jeremy, Roger Murray Leach, who also did Nerva Beacon, clever man. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. These people were on top of their game on a nothing budget. Remember, nothing budget. And he has just knocked it out the park. And in a way, you think, oh, God, just like with Nerva Beacon, you could get 8 episodes out of this. Brilliant. You wonder if they go, oh, my God, they've got this set for a few days. Oh, my God.
Yeah. What else can we do with it, please? We don't want to waste this. Great. Again, this just shows how much they were doing that on such a low budget, because didn't he have to, from memory, he really had to scrimp and borrow and take stuff from other sets to create this. He was an absolute talent. So again, imaginative people, with a limited budget, they can still make magic happen.
And you see, people are sharp. They can tell my psychology. Tree trunks and pillars, Brendan's favourite. Or let's just have a look at that trunk for a minute. I'm going to freeze frame this Blu-ray collection. Is there a documentary in the extras about the pillars? Yes, I know. Sorry, I'm too predictable. But you're on it, Lee. Well done. Next one, and I suppose I'll punctuate it. Do you want more death, everybody? Yes.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I love that music. I'm going to have to use that again. That's sinister, good music. Now, your favourite one, so I'm going to let you start. Pyramids of Mars.
Where do I begin with this one? Whoa.
Right, you've run out of time.
Yeah, I'm off. See you later. I'm going to go put it on. I mean, again, the setting, pyramids, Egyptians, mummies. Where do you begin with it? I mean, it's an absolute joy when it starts, this story, and you've got the the opening of the tomb, and the scream, you know, and the
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
I mean, that again, this is what they do so well in this era. They set you up straight away, get you into it, they hook you, and it is fantastic. Graham is right. The organ music is great, but
Yeah.
there's this
You
is
always need a good organ.
this is a story as well where you see the Doctor is more crotchety in this story, you know,
Yes.
and you've talked about it before, and we've agreed on it. You've got that wonderful comment to Sarah. Well, you've got the one about not being human. You've also got him telling Sarah we have to go back and explaining to her about the future Earth in ruins. Incredible stuff. Really, really strong stuff. And again, this is why this is my favorite story of all time for Doctor Who.
It was a bit like Doctor Who really properly doing Hammer House of Horror, because the organ music, the mansion, the woods,
100%. Yeah.
oh god, and you know you're in different parts of the mansion. I have to say that design of that sarcophagus,
Yeah.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Wonderful.
Does everyone remember the Doctor Who monthly cover with just that on it? I actually thought it was just beautiful to stare at. I have to say, there's some pictures. I've used them in our Scores on the Sarcophagus stores of season 1 because I just love that sarcophagus. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And a cultural appropriation. Go and wash your mouth out, everybody. I mean,
exactly.
you know, just grow up. It's just great.
Can I just add in as well what Stephen Braddock was just saying as well about that fantastic cliffhanger about I am the servant of Sutekh, he needs no other.
Yes.
I love that because, you know, when that turns up, that's a terrifying moment. And you actually think this is the villain of the piece, but it's not. It's the servant of the villain, you know, and it's wonderfully done with that dry ice on the shoulders. You know, it is absolutely terrifying.
He's smoking.
And again, and you know, when you read at the time about, you know, RTD and stuff. Sorry, I've brought his name up, but they talked about City of Death as an influence when they were bringing Doctor Who back. This should have been the main influence for me. This is the go-to of, you know, this. Let's make a Doctor Who. You know, wonderful stuff.
You've got the. I mean, I know they've updated the effect here, but let's go with it. I mean, you know, let's make it even better. So you've got, although I have to say, yes, it does look as though that's the opening sequence of you know what. But anyway, you've got. Yeah, the servant of Sutekh coming in his gimp gear. I mean, what is this? Pulp Fiction meets Doctor Who. And I'm coming for you, baby.
Is it a party or what?
So, yeah, I mean, be careful what's behind the sarcophagus, everybody. You might find a gimp from Pulp Fiction. Anyway, so here he comes from the past. He's been sweaty in that gear, and he arrives. He is smoking because honestly, it's hot in Egypt, and if he's been in all that kind of rubber gear, my God, he's smoking. And and he's torturing Matt Smith in the Fez. He's like, "Oh, you will not be the Doctor." Anyway, great. And it's the voice.
Oh,
It's no other. Bog off. I don't know if you could kill an Egyptian in part 1 now. It might kill the DEI casting nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you'd be Ofcom would be in within seconds now, wouldn't they? You know, to say what on earth are you doing? You know, I mean, again, this is a story where there's been many stories, but for me, this is probably the one up there where I think to myself, do you know what? When I watched it for the first time, I actually thought, I don't know if the Doctor will get out of this one, you know, because this is just another level of villain, of being that he's dealing with. And that scene where he's literally being tortured and he says, I can keep you alive, centuries with spreading your cerebral cortex.
No, he doesn't say that, John. He says, I can torture you forever with retconning classic Who. I can torture you forever with this regeneration fairy dust. I can torture you forever by colorizing and editing badly the 60s. That's what you've missed. You've missed that bit of the dialogue.
Do you know what? I said to you when that happened, and you knew full well that this was my favorite story. And when we got announced that Tales of the TARDIS was coming,
Yeah.
and they were going to try and poison Gatwa by connecting him with this story. Put it this way, I had to go and find somewhere happy for a while before I calmed down. And then when I stupidly watched it, and the whole, like you said, cultural appropriation, all that nonsense, I just thought to myself, I really do not like these people at all. If you want to mess up modern Who, you go right ahead, but you leave the classic alone. Don't try and change the narrative to fit your beliefs. It really, this is something that really does make me cross, and it's like, leave it alone.
And you've got Graham saying what is the problem with the present situation. At school, we were all talking about this jackal head, Sutekh, that appears in the TARDIS, legendary. Just like we were all impersonating Davros from Genesis of the Daleks. That truly happened. And I've heard the stories about the 60s with Daleks and stuff in playgrounds, but I have not seen anybody talk about this iteration apart from laughing or saying, what is that RTD2 you're talking about? Pure historical here. While Sutekh was viewed as a god by his servants, it's wrong to make the link, 100%. Isn't it? He was an alien.
Yep.
And of course, and he does not sleep on the TARDIS. He does not like Snoopy. Do you know what? How to Kill, a really good classic story. Just squat all over it and drop the biggest time turd in history. That's what Who did.
Yep.
How dare you do a crap on the TARDIS?
I mean, again, this is why, we're going down a joy front tonight, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But this is why people like RTD and co, I really have a problem with, because they actually think they're better than the writers who wrote these stories, and they're not. They're not even worthy to clean their shoes. Fantastic stuff. I would also say, me and you have talked about it before, and the Target novelization of this. The Target novelization, and I'm sure lots of people in the chat have read it, is terrifying. Where you talk about certain characters that are being strangled, and they actually go into detail and describe, the last breaths of that character. But on the flip side, the other thing they do as well is, I love, the prologue at the beginning of that story in the Target novel, and they're effectively saying that, that species, alien species, and as Stephen Braddock was saying, they're not gods. They're not particularly nice themselves. They stopped Sutekh because he was the worst of their bunch, but they had slaves, so on Earth they had slaves elsewhere. So they were powerful beings, but they weren't particularly nice, were they?
And they had those robots that when you took the bandage off, it was quite flimsy. That's the only little thing in it. Is it? God, it's a bit of Meccano, this.
Yeah.
Stephen Braddock loved the claustrophobia of pyramids. The outside broadcast, that tree that had upturned and they could hide behind the roots, stuff like that is just a gift from nature. And with a good eye of a good director, and you get some extra bonus material.
Yeah.
That side profile of the chest
Yeah.
of a mummy looking around.
Wonderful.
The sound. This is what I mean. This is all Doctor Who needed. 1 minute you're in a dark corridor being chased by a Dalek in Planet of the Daleks, or you in a wood and you hear a mummy and you hear twigs breaking. That's what you need. For God's sake, it's not hard.
And again, when you talk about budgets, and you know, when you've got the gamekeeper running into the force field, and falling over, you don't need multi-million-pound Disney budgets to with effects to do that. And I know they tried it on the Gatwa one where they made it ripple a little bit, didn't they? But we don't need it. You know, less is more. You know, the mind fills in the gaps. It was good writing and good acting.
Well, as Graham says, and he might know his armchair thriller as well, when you had the faceless nun, Mummy's blank faces scared me witless. Well, of course, they don't talk either, apart from when Tom Baker's inside. So basically, the mummies, I mean, look at that sarcophagus. Look at Sutekh.
Wonderful.
And the third hand. Oh, he had a good time for a hint. Why did he want to leave when that hand was doing a posterior check all the time? His prostate was the most checked in history.
Do you know what I love about it, and is also terrifying, is I love it when the gamekeeper is running away, and you know, he says seek and destroy. Yes. And you see that camera shot of the two mummies slowly walking and just following him. And what I love about it is they're going to catch up with him, because he's going to tire eventually. There's force fields everywhere, whereas they are just relentless. They're going to keep coming for you. It is so well done. It really
well, they started. I mean, they look as though they've dropped one in their pants as they're walking, but they start walking faster, and then they start walking faster, don't they? And they have that lumbering gait, and you're going, yeah, as you said, John, they're going to get you. But I cannot forget, and I cannot erase the humour between Sarah and Tom in that little kind of garden shed when they had and she threw it at him, and then he looks at her, and then she jokes. She also jokes when he's doing the tea urn, and
must have been a terrible accident. Yeah. Don't provoke me.
There's some great stuff. Do you know what I mean? This is it. You have to have, because it's not a 45-minute story, you have to have these little moments that actually would be edited out. And actually, I've not seen signs of RTD doing anything like that, where you have lovely, warm moments. Because in a way, the Fourth Doctor's putting Sarah in her place. Like, oh, wait, Sarah, grow up. But the next minute is she says something because she knows how to disarm him. There's some lovely, clever dynamics going on that we'd miss in our stupid New Who.
Oh, it's wonderful. The other thing I would say about what RTD did with bringing Sutekh back, it doesn't work without the mummies. If he had mummies come back, it might have given it a little bit more of it wouldn't have fixed it, but the mummies would have been sinister. It just, the Sutekh without mummies doesn't work. I mean, that's what Sutekh would do. Sutekh, if he was escaping, if he was free, he would get service robots. You know, that's what he would do. It's nonsense.
So just like end of episode 1 that we really love, when, you know, Sutekh needs no other, you know, he's got me, he needs no other. That's a bit like RTD with all the other writers from Old Who, Rob Sheeman and everybody. You know, I do the writing for Doctor Who. I need no other. Yeah, you do. And there's your famous moment. Doctor Who never showed it, but we all thought we saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, what a way to go.
Are you my mummy? Oh no, I'm your mummy. No, you're my mummy.
That's like a Friday night downtown where I live.
I was always, they have amazing chests, didn't they? That angle was great. But I just love that.
Bras.
There's something about the mummy that's a bit like, is it the thing that came from outer space? What was it called? The big Does everyone know what I mean? That UFO that landed in America, and when he came out,
the Earth stood still.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's something that's similar in that kind of you know what I mean?
It is. Yeah, you can tell they've kind of. For me, I think you're right. I think they've gone for that kind of style a little bit, and but again, what's so wonderful about it is, like you say, the slowness of how they turn round as well is chilling and creepy. And, you know, when they take a shot a few moments later, you know, and then the Doctor's getting them into the cottage, and you know full well they're in the cottage, but they've got to get that machine working because the door's not going to stop them. You know, it really ups the tension straight away in that scene. Wonderful.
And I do like that TARDIS set.
Yeah.
Now, we've had it bigger, and I like the 3 Doctors set, but what I mean is I kind of like them roundels that were really deep. I really liked that. I really like the doors were chunky. You know, I'm sorry, but I like this period of time.
I agree with you, and that was one of my criticisms of New Who, because they went for the Peter Cushing movie style TARDIS interior with just the doors that open straight away. I liked it because it was always meant to be you're going into another dimension, and that's what I loved about the TARDIS from this era, the interior. But I mean, can we just talk as well about, where you're talking about Sutekh, but where I said a few minutes ago, mate, that whole conversation with Sarah in the TARDIS where he takes her back to present day, and you've got that wonderful shot of just destruction, outside the TARDIS. It is wonderfully done. It is brilliantly acted by Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. They just nail it. They really do. And he is, what I like about it is he's in it. You can tell with this Doctor, he's trying to figure out how he's going to stop this being,
Yeah.
He's already, and we've talked about it many a times, and we've talked about all the nonsense now, and they talk about, the Doctor is love and all of that. No, this is a classic example of what the Doctor is about. The Doctor doesn't care about any of that nonsense. All the Doctor is trying to do is save the world and save the universe effectively. That's it. That's all he wants to do. Then he wants to get off traveling again. It is so well done.
But you see, they give each other stuff. I mean, Liz Sladen, you could see the hierarchy. She respects the Doctor because of his brain power and his experience, but she also knows how to work him as a person, and he really respects her. We all know from various stories when he shouts Sarah and he thinks she's in peril, you can feel it. It's visceral. And Tom Baker is one of the best Doctor Who actors to be possessed. I mean, he really does do it. You really do think there's a problem. But you see, as you were saying about, instead of the crying, instead of all that nonsense, when the fourth Doctor's in trouble because you can just see the stress on him. Come on, it's just called acting. We don't need all the other stuff. So yes, I will say part 4, not my greatest moment. The first 3 parts, like some people said, part 1 was one of the best part 1s ever. I agree with that. I do think the first 3 parts are brilliant. Great fun with the woods, building the rocket. All that stuff is just wonderful. Fab. I do sometimes think it doesn't work when they change location. 73 yards. I mentioned some of them. When you jump around, you sometimes lose something. I don't know. The Mars thing didn't quite work for me. I knew they were doing the Exelon City puzzles again. That one.
Yeah. For you, don't I love all of that. I love where they're doing that, and they're doing the whole, and he's got the scarf out and he's doing the Tom Fourth Doctor stuff brilliantly. But I love all of that. She's losing air. He's got to choose the 2 buttons. And I love he's trying to figure it out. I love all of that. For me, that's Doctor Who. I adore it. But it's just special. But I just and the way it wraps itself up as well. There's they make sure that they wrap the story up properly.
Because I did like the idea that Sutekh is on the TARDIS. Oh, sorry. He's just come on. I defy people. When people say I can watch Classic Who without having it being poisoned by the. Sorry, but when you've watched it, fine well what RTD is trying to do to it, and he is encroaching. He is trespassing, and. Because you even have to do this mind trick, John. You have to say, I deny you. You are not sitting on the TARDIS at the end of this.
Yeah.
But you've got to go through that mind trick. Davros in Genesis of the Daleks, I'm thinking, one day he'll be walking. Sorry,
I know.
He has wrecked it. He has really wrecked it.
Again, this is where I have such contempt for him and the production teams and what they did. Because for me... You do what, as I said a few minutes ago, you do what you want to do in your iteration of it. If you want to destroy New Who, you do it, but don't you dare touch Classic Who and change it to fit your your narrative, and that's what they were doing. And I have a strong feeling of anger for what
Well,
they did.
let's cheer ourselves up for a second as we're
Yeah.
about to go to Android Invasion. Yep, so Android Invasion. To me, the least of... It's a strong season. It's my least favourite. And do you know one thing? I'm going to say it. I've said it once before on the stream. I think it's spoilt slightly by the fact that they were seemingly... With the inside of this spaceship of the Kralls and all the rest of it, to me, it felt like Terror of the Zygons, but the money's starting to run out.
Yes.
There was a similar thing going on.
Yeah, I get that. I get where you're coming from. I think for me as well, what I really like is the early start where they go into the pub and the calendar's the same date. All the coins are exactly the same. No, they're all set there, not talking. I think that is brilliant. I love all of that. The Kroll is a great design. I love that look. I'm not sure. I think for me, the thing that I wasn't keen on was the replacement for Nick Courtney in this story.
Yeah,
it kind of, what you would have got with Nick in that part, and it would have elevated it. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt cheated as a kid because your units, you just knew unit, and you had unit, but without it being the unit head. And yeah, you know what you're like as a kid. You want everything as it should be. It's a bit like when in Now You're Being Served, they replaced one of the assistants, and you went, no, I want Mr. Granger back. No, and they're moving on. But the Kralls, I thought they were amazing, and there's a great. I was trying to find the clip, and they're torturing him as usual. I mean, Tom Baker's a great doctor to torture because he does it so well, and being in agony. Strap him down, deadly assassin, whatever it is, robots of death, Genesis of Daleks, just do it, and we shall see.
This reminded me. I don't know how you feel about it, mate, but this felt to me like it was a rollover from a Pertwee story. Because I can see Pertwee in this story. I can see the Third Doctor in this story with Unit in there as well. It just has that feel for me, and I think like you said, well, maybe they were running out of budget and stuff. I think potentially maybe they were using this story from a previous era. I don't know if that's true. Please tell me in the chat if it is correct, but I just think it feels very Third Doctor to me, this story.
Yeah, but I'm not inviting any criticism. I'm just saying, when you've got such strength in the season, one of them that gets on with it, no problem, just doesn't quite do it the same. So I do see the Terror of the Zygons touches. So just as I was saying about the moving eye and the moose and all the rest of it and the spying, and it was all sinister with the veins on the camera. In this one, you got that classic, he just pulls back and you see his eye doing that. I don't know. What worked in one doesn't quite work in the other one. That's my position on that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this story. It's one I don't get bored with it. I just, it's on, it keeps going. You've got that wonderful cliffhanger that someone mentioned earlier about the fact, Sarah's face, wonderful stuff.
Yeah. I always get mixed. It makes me and Jamie laugh though, because of course, basically it was like two marbles and a bit of plastic and a spirograph. That's what she. It was a bit like that. But it was a great reveal. It was a great moment, and that idea that I think you can see it in the background there of that shot that it was almost like teeth for the door from the spaceship, and if you're on the wrong side of that door, you're going to be eliminated.
I will also say as well that I still have a little chuckle about him not realizing that he's actually got another eye. You know, that with the eye patch. I let that go because it's Doctor Who, but I do chuckle it. I was thinking, what? So you never got an itchy eye at some point by wearing that eye patch the whole time, you know, and took it off and gone, oh look, I can see.
And it was just something about the unit building just seemed a bit naff.
Yeah.
There was just something I could see a bit of Ambassadors of Death with everybody in the whites and the space.
If it felt more for me, it felt that building felt more like almost like a local college, local city college type building, you know. But you can see what they're trying to do, you know, with the dish and, you know. But I can let that go. But when I say about it felt like a third Doctor story, I did think so with, you know, towards the end where you've literally got the shooting outside of the Doctor's running from the shooting gun, you know, and you know that's very third Doctor era, isn't it?
You've got a very iconic moment that almost the visual. If you were an art teacher or whatever, you would actually say the shot of being tied on the village square by that post is very like in the brain of Morbius when he's tied to be set fire to. There's a similar image, and oh my god, that's a segue, Brendan. Brain of Morbius to me. This is gothic horror, Doctor Who at its best. I love this. Making Sarah blind. Frankenstein monster. You even had enough time in episode 1 for you to have a bit of a drink, a bit of a nibble, and have a nice civilized dinner chat. I mean, hello, you know, thunder and lightning and some witches.
What else? Yeah, but the first moment, mate, the first scene you get, you've got a mutant.
Yep.
And then you hear that as it's beheaded, you know, and again, they wouldn't allow that now, would they, with him coming in with the head? They wouldn't allow any of this, would they now?
No.
It's a shame because it's wonderful. It is.
But this is what I mean. People are now starting to self-censor and deprive a new generation of what thrill does.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be perplexed about, well, what is thrilling the kids now? Or should I say the truth is, because nothing's thrilling them on TV now, that's why they're not watching TV. Because TV isn't trying to be daring. So the kids are going elsewhere to be dared. Graham, the Morbius monster is right up there with the Zygons for a classic monster design. And of course, the Worlds of Wonder, which is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, you get that. And I love the simplicity of, you know, the brain of Mob, a talking brain. And that moment when Sarah's blind and she's walking, she's nearly going to knock him over. And who are you? And you see the vocal cords moving, you know. I mean, that gets Julie Andrews upset every time she sees that.
But, you know, the comedy in it as well, where Sarah's talking about being blind and the Doctor's like, well, if you carry on like this, I'll bite your nose. You know, it's just the wonderful back and forth between the two of them. But, you know, Gondo, that's wonderful with Sarah as well. You know, he says, oh, help, you know, and he's trying to help her, you know, and that wonderful scene as well, where he realizes, hang on a minute, his arm is going to be given to Morbius. And you take my arm, you know, and then that's the famous gunshot scene where his chest explodes.
Which RTD, no, we don't have blood or gore. Oh, no. Go on. What a spoil sport you are. I slept that night. It was dramatic. It really was dramatic. It was great fun. Kids love gore. Grow up, RTD, honestly. So it was great. And the pathos, you see, the beauty of these 4-episode stories when you are allowed to breathe is you felt sorry for him, didn't you? Because, as you said, with the arm, and you felt sorry for him being the underling, and you felt sorry for how he'd been betrayed. You got a bit of a subplot with the Sisters of Khan. They weren't really baddies. They were just, you know, out of Puff, the magic dragon. You had a great, I mean, people have mentioned Philip Maddock, but, you know, the Maren, wow, she was a terror hawk. She was
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
she was like,
Didn't she go on? Was it her that went on to be in EastEnders years later? Was that the same actor? Or am I wrong?
no,
It
I
used to
think I
be
think
Frank's mum.
she hardly after this, Maren, everybody tell me if I'm right. After this, she was next in Doctor Who as the face of Bo. No, sorry.
Yeah, looking younger.
Yeah. I think I think I've got that right. Have everybody? The face of Bo. I'm sure I have. Oh,
Well,
let's just check it out. Does this look like Maren here? Hello. There you go. I think that was Maren, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got to stop playing with Bo's balls, mate. You got to stop that.
So no, the green brain, a brain in a jar, the Frankenstein monster in the bed when Sarah pulls back the sheet. You have the Sisters of Karn being like witches. I love that moment early on when they can visualize and take the body
Yes.
and move it. Fab. And I love the way Tom Baker plays it when he wakes up and he goes, how old fashioned.
And he's going, what is it? When he fixes it, the elixir, and he's like,
Yeah.
I won't even charge you. It's just, you can tell he's having a great time with that at this moment, and everyone's on point. I like how they talk about Maren. They actually write it in about the fact that but she was around before the elixir, so that's why she looks older.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else looks beautiful. So that the poor old production team, they're going, look, we're going to have to write something in to say why you're so old and unattractive compared to all the other women.
Well, Ian Scales has given us two gems here. I like Solon's crowning moment line. Yeah. I mean, you are being cheeky with Morbius, and then of course he talks about Maren's aged makeup was brilliant. She was a fairly young actress. I don't know anything about what she honestly looked like, but I thought she looked like as old as the hills. I mean, I thought she was she looked like a Beverly Hillbilly. She
and it's like, but at the end, where she steps into it, and you see the de-aging thing as she becomes, engulfed by the flame. That's well done as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And
wonderful.
And oh, is the doctor dead? A few tears, and then he wakes up again, and and of course, New Who always got this run. They can see the rhythms and the beats that make Classic Who work. So, for example, the famous scene, Chop Suey, the Galactic Emperor, and trying to wind him up because the cyanide needed time to get working.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to fuse his brain. There was a whole logic to that. Whereas nowadays, you sometimes get a New Who doctor just saying some stupid line and they have no backup plan. And it's as if the New Who writers have completely forgotten that in these moments when there was humour, there was actually a full logic to it.
And I think, can we also talk about the elephant in the room, about the the mind wrestling scene?
Yeah.
And how Chibnall wanted to use this for the Timeless Children, and again, it's absolute nonsense because it's not the Doctor's past incarnations, is it? It's Morbius. I'm going to stick to that till the day I die. They are images, former faces of Morbius. That's it. That's how powerful Morbius was. It's just, again, they really try and reach, don't they, to try and make their narratives fit. And again, it always reminds me, what I find is they almost at times they're embarrassed a bit to talk about Classic Who, and you can't do that now, you can't do this now, but they're always keen to reach back to Classic Who when they need something to get themselves out of a corner.
Yeah,
know?
but we see an RTD, Moffat, they've all said it that they're like the Doctor Who movie. You can decide just by ignoring whether the Doctor's half human or not. You just ignore it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we could have ignored this edit. It was of its time. It was an in joke, and Peter Venkman's not having it. They were all Morbius. I
Yeah.
actually thought the way the dialogue went, it sounded as though the Doctor was losing. But the point is, that's just fans obsessing about some editing, and a good producer or writer just never looks at that again, and the Timeless Children nonsense doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, load of nonsense. But no, this was a real comfort blanket of a story.
Wonderful.
Loved the set designs. They were very clever with their angles. It was very
Yeah.
I've forgotten what it's called. It's like an artist because the pillars, everybody, the pillars were clever angles.
Yeah.
It was like a citadel bathed in thunder and lightning.
Wonderful. And again, you know, that wonderful beginning scene where you've got the wasteland of crashed ships. That's
Yes.
well done as well. You know, great stuff. And it again, you talk about how good this time was for Doctor Who. What I said to you about Pyramids of Mars, you have here as well. You're off to the races within about 30 seconds
Yeah.
of the story. You know, wonderful stuff.
And I will make a big play for dialogue. The dialogue between the Doctor and Marin when they relay the story of Morbius and the music builds and is a little bit menacing, and you as a kid are listening to the words a bit like an archive in space, and you're listening to how they digest some of the people in the ark, and just those words make you go, whoa,
Yeah.
really? And in this one, to hear the history of how powerful Morbius was and how he was put to death and she saw it, and then the Doctor's like, you know, and then when he says, I felt his brain. Oh, God, this... And remember, that is just two people acting with a bit of music in the background. But because the dialogue is so powerful and the story works, you're going, so Morbius is really powerful. Whoa.
Yeah. You know, when you talk about, you know, he talks about he's a Time Lord of the First Order and all of this. You got, you know, this is similar to, again, the Pyramids of Mars. What they do in this season, they really raise the stakes of the villains. So you're actually like, you don't know if the Doctor's going to get out of this because he's the underdog, you know. And again, it's just a joy to watch Tom Baker performing as the Fourth Doctor in this, and Liz Sladen as Sarah Jane. Yeah,
Well,
wonderful stuff.
Well, look at Graham here. This is the point of Doctor Who and nostalgia. I remember my parents taking me to a carpet shop after this, and I remember hiding behind the vertically stacked carpets thinking I was on Khan. You know, you can't make this up.
No.
Graham needs to be taken away. No, you can't make this up. It just like I remember being in the town hall crypt in Middlesbrough when John Pertwee did his tour, and the Daleks were on those little train tracks, and they just moved, and you heard the words "exterminate." And I ran out the whole exhibition that we'd queued hours for, and I couldn't hang around. And my mum and dad said, "There's nobody in it. You know it's a tape recording. You know it's an actor. You know it's this." Yeah, but I'm not going in because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And you totally get it. Totally get it, everybody.
Like exactly the same with me with Longleat. You know, I remember the first time going to Longleat, and I said to my mum and dad, "Right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to sort it as a young kid." I got about 3 walks in, and then the Cyberman moved inside.
Yeah.
It's that was it. I was out like a shot, and I was not going back in there at first. You know,
Yeah.
Mum still reminds me of that on occasion.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think actually New Who with like Night of the Doctor with the Sisters of Khan, they've done that well. I love the I can just about do it. And they've used that Sister of Khan, the chief one, a few times now. I've forgotten she was a good actress in Far Pavilions and everything.
Yeah.
Right, we're on to the last one, which is a good one. I mean, where do you start? You've got Triffids basically. You've got green axons. You've got what do you call it? That machine that eats you up, the compost.
The shredder or whatever it is.
And and you've got the body horror of somebody just like in Ark in Space being turned into a creature, and that moment in the lodge when the waiter, the butler, is
Yeah.
feeding Keel. Is it Keel?
Yeah, it's meat, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know who I mean. And he's feeding him to make him grow into a plant faster. Oh, honestly, there was something about that because he's tied down. It's really sinister and horrible, and I hated that. But I also hated that moment when they tied Sarah Jane Smith's arm, and the pod was about to open, and I didn't know. I didn't know if she was going to get out of that. And then I'll just say it, and then I'll shut up. That moment when he jumps through the skylight.
What do you do for an encore, Doctor?
Yeah, Mr. Black Gloves.
Harrison Chase is a great villain in this story. He really is. It's played wonderfully. Like you say, look at that image. It is wonderful. And you always had that publicity image of the beast coming towards Liz and Tom, and he's got the sword, isn't he? You know, and that classic photo, which is wonderful. But the start of this story yet again, you're into it. Within 30 seconds, it's off. You're off and running. You know, they don't waste time. That's what I love about this era and this production team. And you've got that Arctic, you know, scene where they discover it, and then it moves from there. And then you've got, I mean, that Arctic scene that really kicks off fast, doesn't it? It's really well done.
Yeah, and they have the elephant banana split in it. I mean, does everyone remember the grey elephant banana split? And I always think at the end the crinoid is a little bit like him with the trunks. Yeah. Anyway. But yes, what you were saying about this 6-parters, we've learnt this, haven't we, as classic Whovians. Talons of Wen Chian was 4 parts with 2 at the end in the laundry thing.
Yeah.
This one had 2 parts at the beginning in the South Pole and then 4 parts at the mansion. And that, I was saying in Pyramids of Mars, I wasn't sure about the location change in part 4, but their work in Seeds of Doom and their work in Talons. Yeah, because it was a thriller. People are saying, yes, we know it's a thing, that base under siege, so to speak. It was almost like you can imagine the 10th planet being there.
It's just another wonder. I think, again, this is where I also miss the brig Nick Courtney being in this story as well. You know, they've got a stand-in for Nick Courtney here as well, haven't they? When they call in the RAF, you know, to do the strike. I would have loved to have had Nick Courtney in it because I think that would have helped. You know, they've got essentially a unit there. I think it's a really good story about how, you know, just like you say, Day of the Triffids stuff, isn't it? That's what they've riffed off of.
Well, it's like people are saying, Graham, Harrison Chase is the best one-off villain since Tobias Vaughan. And there, right, challenge him. The thing is, Harrison Chase, he's got the look, good actor, you know, he plays the part really well. He's a kooky. But the point is, in Doctor Who, when it's written well, although he's off his tree, it makes logical sense in the story. And the fact that he's just that side of madness.
Yeah.
And just like we all loved the organ music in Pyramids of Mars, in this one, I didn't like his soundtrack. Sorry for rubbish music. Remember when he's playing... I mean, I'd have loved to have seen all the behind-the-scenes people moving plants, you know.
I do love the fact that he does a wonderful performance of his descent into madness, you know, throughout that story. It is so well done. And as someone said about, you know, Stephen O'Neill saying about that poor unit soldier. Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah, he didn't go well, did he? That poor unit chap.
But again, and I'm going to keep saying this until somebody at the BBC learns, because you allow a story to breathe, number one, these 2 locations work, but the other thing is, I loved that actress. Doctor Who always did this. That actress, you know, the artist.
Yes, wonderful.
You know, with the eyes. She was a bit Fenella Fielding, but she wasn't. Oh, honestly, you want touches like that You
Yeah.
need characters like that. We had it in Stones of Blood as well.
Wonderful.
Oh, come on. You know, as soon as you say it's got to be a 45-minute wham bam thank you ma'am reset button, all those interesting characters are not in it.
Yeah, I mean, it is wonderful stuff. I mean, I do love this story, and again, I remember listening to the Big Finish story, which was kind of a sequel called Hot House, and it was like a climate changey. You know, it was Vivian from the Young Ones that was in it, which, you know, again, sometimes with these, you just want to leave them alone, leave them as the standalones that they are, because this is just top drawer stuff. You know, where would we have gone, I wonder, if Philip Hinchcliffe had stayed on for another few seasons?
Well, there's another question though with this one, isn't there, everybody? It's not just whether Philip Hinchcliffe would have stayed, but he'd still have probably have had to change his style because Mary Whitehouse had supremacy. And we all know that it wasn't Graham Williams's choice, but he had to pivot.
Yeah.
And you know, I think at the start of the Ribus operation, you think, oh, for God's sake, too jokey.
Yeah, bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah, just moments when you thought, oh, it got just too light. And you just think, yes, definitely here, Philip Hinchcliffe, he was on it, and he was hungry, and he was ambitious, and he was experimental, and he was confident. But the trouble was the BBC, as we all know, has never changed its spots, and it fills its pants at too much criticism.
Yeah.
And nowadays, we don't need Mary Whitehouse. We've got RTD, who self-censors Doctor Who and has no jeopardy, no gore, no blood, no this, no that. But he'll have all his stupid jokes.
Yeah.
These people know. You see, Philip Hinchcliffe was in-house producer. He wasn't somebody up himself, having had this strange career where he thinks he's award-winning and everything. He was still hungry for success, and he
Yes.
was in-house, and he knew how to play the BBC for sets and
100%.
everything.
Yeah, 100%. It was a good music score, wasn't it? This.
Well, yeah, I mean, we said about the Terror of the Zygons. Yeah, the tentacle when the pod opens, it's really, really scary. It's well done. It's well done, because I think they had to do some stop animation or something, didn't they, to get it to work. I mean, shout out moments. Doctor with a gun, Doctor fighting John Chalice. I do like that artist who obviously sneaked Sarah around, and all that. You had the classic establishment. You always need a minister, don't you? You always need a boring minister.
You do. Yeah, they would fit in perfectly now, wouldn't they? I think with the Scorby, I always remember this story with, Scorby is really beating the Doctor up. He's getting back at him, at that point in the story, where he's throwing him into the bins.
Yes.
And he's like, "You're pushing your luck, Scorby." And the Doctor's not joking anymore, is he? Because he's getting injured. But again, there's so much in this. Okay, a lot of people always laugh at me about the Scorby dying in the pond, but again, I can ignore that because I know what they're trying to do with it.
I think the Tom Baker versus John Chalice, they were both. It was like Doctor Who meets the Sweeney. It was really. Whoa, they were whacking each other, and it was very physical next to that composter. You see, all of a sudden, just like Ark in Space, which I keep saying because I've just watched it, as everyone knows, last week, but Ark in Space made you think, God, this is adults. My dad likes this because it's really serious sci-fi. In stuff like The Seeds of Doom, you were going, whoa, this is gritty. This was like gritty Chris Eccleston before we had him. John Chalice and a very physical Fourth Doctor. It really was brilliantly done. And you believed in both those characters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, again, I can't wait to get this set through. But to be honest, I think you've sold me on watching this tonight after the show, to be honest. I'm gonna go for it tonight, guys. That's it. Well, I'll finish at 2 a.m.
It's a shame we haven't got Jeremy on. I mean, he'd have loved this. I know we decided to do this late on, Jeremy. Sorry. too much, because you can see the debate going on here. He wasn't sure about the gore with Brain of Morbius, so it's interesting to hear a slightly different viewpoint. A man who loves classic Who, but too much horror perhaps, but I thought was okay. I have to say I have no problem with this era at all.
No,
I really don't. I just wished, as you said, I wished we got more than these 2 seasons, really.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
season 12, season 13. I just wish it got. I mean, we got a bit more, but
Yeah, I mean, this is where I really felt that, you know, Tom and Liz together, it was just working so well. The stories were strong. It was a wonderful time of Doctor Who, and you know, I know, like I said earlier, I know future producers that ruin things have said that their influence coming back was City of Death. For me, anybody that's taken over the production of Doctor Who, the first thing I think they should do is watch these first 2 seasons. That's your template there, and then move on from there and look at other eras and other episodes, because these 2 seasons are so strong. You know, the interplay between Liz and Tom is phenomenal, and it is just perfect Doctor Who for me.
But as you all know, I've been told enough. The BBC don't watch it. They don't know why it works. They don't understand the words that come out of our mouth when we say the Sarah Jane Smith interplay with the Doctor is top notch. You should watch Talons of Wen-Chian or Robots of Death or Genesis. They don't understand this wording we're using. They think, don't you just want more Tennant? Don't you just want Rose back? They really don't get it. It's lost. It really is.
And this is me looking directly at them to basically say, right, okay, BBC, this is what people want from Doctor Who. I'm looking directly at you and I'm telling you now, this is what people want from Doctor Who. The box set selling out on pre-orders on Amazon and elsewhere tells you everything you need to know about how to make good Doctor Who. You've got it there. The evidence is there. So go and do it. Make the right decision.
So there you go. We've done our bit for Queen and Country, or Kin and Country. It was Queen and Country then, wasn't it? That's been a rattling good. I think everybody's enjoyed it. Nostalgia. I can do it, you see. We don't have to do RTD again and again and again. We can do it. So everybody, we may be on tomorrow. In fact, I say that at 4 p.m. tomorrow. I know I am with Hugh. And we're talking about Doctor Who and Gods. Classic through, right, everyone? 4 p.m. live tomorrow. Hugh's doing a live with me, so join us tomorrow. We'll be back again. So everybody, let me sleep. Let me and please, if everybody can do me one favor, will you tell a friend about this channel? And if you can just check your subs. And the last thing I'm going to say is, John, Sci-Fi Chronicles 79, everybody give him a sub, please. Go on, tell us about your channel.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. I mean, Sci-Fi Chronicles is a channel I've set up where I'm doing Doctor Who reviews, currently doing the Hartnell run, but we're also doing movie reviews. We've just done Planet of the Apes, the first film, and we're doing all of those, and including the TV series. We're also doing a Stargate SG-1 watch along on Sunday nights. There is a Stargate Deep Space Nine one coming imminently as well. So it's got everything about sci-fi. And I think the reason I set up the channel was I wanted to get back to the joy of good sci-fi again and talking about good movies. So that's really what I'm doing with friends. And obviously Brendan's been on as well, and it's been good fun. And the final thing I would say is, he's a modest chap, this Brendan, but please, do like and subscribe, because he puts in a heck of a lot of work to make these fun and enjoyable. And honestly, please like and subscribe him. And then the final thing I would say is Garbage, who's a moderator in the chat.
Yeah.
Please check out his channel as well, because he's doing some great stuff on his channel with AI video clips.
Billy Piper. There's a whole lot of women. Basically, I look at pillars. Go look at women on his AI. Now, everybody, the treat isn't not over. I've used this before, but this is how we're going to end the show today because we love our nostalgia. We know what makes good Doctor Who, and it only is on for 2 minutes. You know we all love Daryl Joyce. Well, let's just say goodbye with this show, and I can show you again. Oh, just feel the love. This is Daryl Joyce in what Doctor Who should really look like.